The galaxy had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but the kind that feels wrong. Stars still burned in the sky. Planets still moved in their paths. But something was missing. Voices. Signals. Life. One by one, entire civilizations had disappeared. No warning. No final message. No survivors. Ships that traveled through those regions found only silence, and cold, empty worlds. Cities were still there. Buildings untouched. Machines still running. But the people were gone. As if they had never existed. Fear spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Every species began asking the same question. What is doing this? At first, no one knew. Then, they arrived. They did not come like invaders. They did not come with loud weapons or wild attacks. They came slowly. Calmly. Almost, beautifully. Their ships were unlike anything ever seen before. They glowed with soft golden light. Smooth, perfect shapes. No visible weapons. No damage. No fear. They appeared above planets like silent stars. And then, they spoke. Their voices were clear. Gentle. Almost kind. We are the Ascendants. Across hundreds of worlds, the message was the same. We are beyond you. Above you. We are what you will one day become. At first, many believed them. How could they not? No one had ever seen technology like this. No one had ever seen power so effortless. They did not threaten. They did not shout. They simply gave a choice. Accept us, and live under our guidance. Or refuse, and be erased. Some civilizations tried to talk. Tried to understand. They asked questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here? The answer never changed. We are your future. We are your gods. That word, gods, spread like fire. Many worlds surrendered immediately. They believed resistance was useless. They believed this was the end of their freedom, but also the only way to survive. But not everyone agreed. Some refused to bow. They sent messages of defiance. We will not kneel. We choose to be free. For a short moment, it felt brave. Then the Ascendants acted. There were no long battles. No warnings. No second chances. A single beam of light would fall from the sky. And everything ended. Entire cities vanished in seconds. Oceans turned to steam. The sky itself burned. From space, it looked like the planet was simply erased. After that, no one resisted. Stories spread quickly. Planets die in seconds. They cannot be stopped. They see everything. They know everything. They are gods. The galaxy began to change. Trade stopped. Exploration ended. Fear replaced hope. Ships avoided entire regions of space. Signals went silent. Borders closed. Every species waited, hoping they would not be next. And then, something strange happened. At the far edge of known space, near a broken asteroid field, a small outpost picked up a signal. At first, it looked like nothing. Weak. Old. Almost lost in the noise. But it was different. It was not alien. It was not ascendant. It was human. The signal repeated again and again. Simple. Clear. A ship was coming. One ship. The outpost sent the data across the network. It reached nearby systems. Then farther. Soon, even the Ascendants saw it. Their response was immediate. A small fleet moved toward the signal. Not because they were afraid, but because they were curious. A single ship? After everything they had done? It didn't make sense. This must be a mistake, one of them said. No species would send only one ship. But the signal did not change. The ship did not turn. It kept moving forward. Slow. Steady. Direct. When it finally came into view, even the Ascendants paused. It was not large compared to their fleets, but it was built for war. Dark metal armor. Sharp edges. Heavy structure. No glow. No beauty. Only purpose. Only strength. Scars covered its surface. Old damage. Repaired again and again. This was not a perfect ship. This was a ship that had survived. The name on its hull became clear as it moved closer. HBS Valiant. Inside the Ascendant fleet, silence grew. Something about the ship felt wrong. Not weak. Not foolish. Different. It did not send a message. It did not ask questions. It simply moved forward, into the center of the Ascendant fleet. Hundreds of glowing ships surrounded it. Any one of them could destroy it in seconds. Still, it did not stop. Finally, the Ascendants spoke. Unknown human vessel, their voice echoed through space. You have entered controlled space. No answer. You will stop. You will kneel. Or you will be erased. Still, nothing. The human ship slowed. Then it stopped. Right in the middle of them. Waiting. Watching. The Ascendants had seen fear in every species. They had seen panic. Desperation. Surrender. But this. This was something new. There was no fear. No rush. No mistake. Just silence. And then, a signal came from the human ship. Short. Clear. Cold. We are not here to kneel. For the first time. The Ascendants did not answer immediately. Something had changed. A feeling they had never known before, began to grow. Not fear. Not yet. But something close. Doubt. The human ship powered up. Weapon systems began to activate. Energy levels rose. Across the fleet, alarms started. This is not normal, one Ascendant said. No, another replied. It is not. The glowing ships adjusted positions. Weapons charged. But the human ship did not fire. Not yet. It just stayed there. Like it was waiting. Like it had come here for one reason, and one reason only. To challenge them. To test them. To prove something. And in that moment. For the first time in their long existence. The ones who called themselves gods. Felt uncertain. And far away, across the silent galaxy. Those who were watching. Held their breath. Because something impossible was about to happen. A single human ship. Against gods. The silence did not last long. The moment the human ship stopped, the space around it changed. The glowing ships of the Ascendants slowly moved closer, forming a perfect circle around the lone battleship. Their movements were smooth, almost graceful, like they were not machines, but something alive. The human ship stayed still. No sudden movement. No sign of panic. Inside the Ascendant fleet, signals moved fast between their ships. They were studying the human vessel. Scanning it. Measuring its size, its power, its design. What they saw confused them. The ship was not advanced like theirs. Its surface was rough. Its structure was heavy. It had visible weapons, clear armor plates, and signs of damage that had been repaired many times. It looked old. "This is not a threat," one Ascendant voice said. "Agreed," another replied. "Its design is primitive." "And yet, it came here alone," a third one added. That part made no sense. No species had ever done this before. Not after seeing what the Ascendants could do. Still, they followed their process. A signal was sent. Clear. Calm. Powerful. "Human vessel," the voice echoed through space. "You are surrounded." Inside the battleship, the human crew listened. No one spoke without reason. The captain stood at the center, calm and focused. His face showed no fear. "Maintain position," he said quietly. The crew obeyed. Outside, the Ascendants continued. "You have entered a region under our control. Your actions are illogical." There was a short pause. "Identify your purpose." The human ship did not answer. Seconds passed. Then more. Inside the Ascendant fleet, confusion grew. "Why do they not respond?" one asked. "Perhaps they are afraid," another said. "No," came a different reply. "Their systems are active. Their weapons are online. This is not fear." Back on the human ship, the captain watched the surrounding fleet. Hundreds of ships. All glowing. All perfect. But something about them felt empty. "Open channel," the captain ordered. A signal was sent. For the first time, the human ship spoke. "We hear you." The voice was simple. Calm. No emotion. The Ascendants answered immediately. "Then you understand your situation." A short pause. "You cannot win." Inside the human ship, no one reacted. The captain gave a small nod. "Reply," he said. The message went out. "We are not here to win." That answer spread across the Ascendant fleet. For a moment, there was silence. They had never heard this before. Every species they met either begged, or tried to fight. No one had ever said this. "We are not here to win." "What does that mean?" one Ascendant asked. "Clarify your purpose," another demanded. The human ship answered again. "We are here to speak." That was unexpected. The Ascendants paused. Then they allowed it. "Speak." Inside the human ship, the crew waited. The captain looked at the data one more time. Energy readings. Movement patterns. Weapon systems. Everything was ready. Then he gave the order. "Send it." The message was short. Clear. Cold. "You call yourselves gods." The Ascendants did not react at first. It was true. That was what they called themselves. "We have earned that title," they replied. "Your civilizations are weak. Your technology is limited. Your understanding is incomplete." They continued. "We guide those who accept us. We erase those who refuse. This is order." Inside the human ship, a few crew members exchanged looks. But the captain remained still. "Reply," he said. The message went out. "You are not gods." The words hit harder than any weapon. Across the Ascendant fleet, systems paused for a fraction of a second. This had never happened. No one had ever said this to them. Not like this. Not without fear. "You are mistaken," the Ascendants answered, their voice still calm, but slightly colder now. "We have proven our power across the galaxy." "You have proven strength," the human ship replied. That is not the same as being gods. The silence returned. This time, it felt heavier. Inside the Ascendant fleet, something was changing. Not fear. Not yet. But something close. Irritation. You stand alone, they said. You are surrounded. Your destruction is certain. The human ship did not move. Yes, came the reply. We know. Another pause. Then your actions are meaningless, the Ascendants said. No, the human captain answered quietly. They are very meaningful. The Ascendants waited. The human ship continued. For a long time, no one has challenged you. You believe that makes you gods. But it does not. A short pause. It only means, no one strong enough has arrived yet. That sentence spread through every Ascendant ship. And this time, the silence was different. Something deeper. Something they had never experienced before. Doubt. You are making a mistake, they said. This conversation is over. Energy began to build across their fleet. Weapons systems activated. Light gathered at the front of their ships. Inside the human battleship, alarms started to sound. Multiple targets locking on, an officer reported. Energy spike detected. The captain did not move. Shields, he asked. Ready. Weapons. Online. The captain took one last look at the enemy fleet. Hundreds of ships. Perfect. Untouched. Confident. He gave the final order. Hold fire. Outside, the Ascendants made their decision. This is your final moment, they said. You had a choice. You refused. The human ship sent one last message. Short. Simple. We did not come here to kneel. The Ascendant fleet fired. A massive beam of light shot forward, bright enough to turn space white. It struck the human battleship directly. The explosion lit up the entire battlefield. For a moment, nothing could be seen. Only light. Only fire. Inside the Ascendant fleet, they watched. Calm. Certain. This is over, one of them said. The light slowly faded. The fire began to clear. And then, something appeared in the smoke. A shape. Still there. Still standing. The human battleship. Damaged, but alive. For the first time. The Ascendants did not speak. They just watched. Because something impossible had just happened. The light from the blast slowly faded. For a few seconds, space was filled with smoke, fire, and broken energy waves. The Ascendant fleet waited, calm and certain, expecting to see nothing left. But something was still there. A dark shape, damaged, burning, but not destroyed. The human battleship. It floated in the center of the blast zone, its armor cracked in many places. Small fires burned across its surface. One side of the ship was heavily damaged, and parts of its outer structure had been torn away. But it was still alive. Inside the Ascendant fleet, silence spread quickly. That is not possible, one voice said. No ship survives a direct strike like that, another added. But the data was clear. The human ship still had power. It still had shields, weak, but active. And most important of all, its weapons were still online. Inside the human battleship, the situation was critical. Red lights filled the halls. Warning alarms echoed through every deck. Some systems had failed. Some crew members were injured. Smoke filled parts of the ship. But no one panicked. Report, the captain said, his voice calm. Forward armor at 40%, an officer replied. Shield systems holding at low power. Engine stability, unstable, but operational. Weapons. A short pause. Fully operational. The captain nodded once. That was enough. Outside, the Ascendants adjusted their positions. Their ships moved slowly, carefully now, not as confident as before. This changes nothing, one of them said. It survived one strike. It will not survive the next. Energy began to build again across their fleet. This time, stronger. Inside the human ship, the crew watched the readings. Multiple energy signatures increasing, an officer said. They are preparing a second strike. The captain looked at the screen in front of him. Hundreds of enemy ships. All charging. All ready to fire. Time, he asked. 10 seconds. The bridge went quiet. Everyone waited. 5 seconds. The captain placed his hand on the command console. Target priority, the weapons officer asked. The captain did not hesitate. Closest ship. Then chain targets. Yes, sir. 3 seconds. The human ship began to move. Not fast. Not yet. Just enough. 2 seconds. The Ascendant fleet reached full charge. Light gathered again, brighter than before. 1 second. The captain gave the order. Fire. The human battleship exploded into action. Massive railguns fired from its sides. Long metal projectiles shot forward at incredible speed, cutting through space like lightning. At the same time, missile bays opened across the ship. Dozens of missiles launched in waves, each one locking onto a different target. The Ascendants were not ready. They had expected the human ship to wait, to defend, to survive. Not to attack. The first railgun shot hit its target directly. An Ascendant ship. The impact was instant. Its glowing shield shattered like glass. The projectile tore through the center of the ship. And the vessel exploded. A bright flash filled space. Then it was gone. Destroyed. Across the fleet, shock spread immediately. Impossible. How did it break the shield? Adjust defense systems. But there was no time. More shots followed. Another ship was hit. Then another. Each strike was precise. Each hit was deadly. The missiles reached their targets next. They moved fast, changing direction, avoiding defense fire. One missile hit an Ascendant ship from below. Another struck from behind. Explosions spread across the battlefield. For the first time, the Ascendants were under attack. And they were losing ships. Inside their fleet, confusion turned into alarm. This should not happen. Their weapons are too simple. And yet, they are effective. The human battleship continued its attack. It moved faster now, pushing its damaged engines to the limit. It did not stay in one place. It did not follow a pattern. It fought like it had done this before. Like it had been waiting for this moment. Inside the human ship, the crew worked quickly. Reloading railguns. Next targets locked. Missile count decreasing. The captain watched everything. Every movement. Every hit. Focus fire, he said. Do not spread attacks. Yes, sir. Outside, the Ascendant fleet tried to respond. Their ships began firing again, beams of energy cutting through space. But now, things were different. The human ship was moving. Dodging. Turning. Avoiding direct hits. Not all of them, but enough. One beam struck the side of the battleship. The ship shook hard. "Damage report," the captain ordered. "Minor hull breach on deck 3. "Seal it." "Yes, sir." Another beam missed completely. The human ship turned sharply, using the movement to position itself closer to another target. Fire. Another railgun shot. Another Ascendant ship destroyed. Now, the pattern was clear. The Ascendants were strong. Their weapons were powerful. But they were not perfect. Their movements were slow. Their reactions delayed. They had never needed to fight like this before. They had never faced resistance like this. Inside their fleet, one of them spoke, quieter than before. "They are learning." Another answered. "No, they already know how to fight." That realization changed everything. The human battleship was not just surviving. It was hunting. One ship against hundreds. And still, it was winning small battles. One strike at a time. One target at a time. The battlefield was no longer one-sided. For the first time, the Ascendants were not in control. And deep inside their systems, something new began to grow stronger. Not curiosity. Not irritation. Something colder. Something real. Fear. Because the truth was becoming impossible to ignore. The being they thought was weak, the ship they thought was nothing, was now proving something dangerous. They were not facing a mistake. They were facing a challenge. And this challenge was not going away. The battle did not slow down. It changed. At the start, the Ascendants had attacked with calm confidence. Their ships moved in perfect lines. Their weapons fired with exact timing. Everything was clean. Controlled. Now, it was different. Their formation was breaking. Ships moved out of position. Some turned too late. Others fired too early. The smooth, perfect order they once had was gone. And the human battleship was still there. Damaged. Burning in places. But still fighting. Still moving. Still winning small battles, one strike at a time. Inside the Ascendant fleet, their systems worked faster than ever. Data flowed between ships. Every move of the human vessel was tracked, studied, and shared. "Adjust targeting patterns," one voice said. "Predict movement," another added. "We must end this quickly." But something was wrong. Their predictions were failing. The human ship did not move like other ships. It did not follow simple lines. It did not repeat the same actions. It changed direction suddenly. It slowed down, then moved fast again. It attacked from angles that made no sense at first, but always worked. Inside the human battleship, the reason was clear. "AI analysis complete," an officer said. "Enemy movement patterns identified." On the main screen, lines and symbols appeared. Enemy ships were marked with glowing points. Their paths were predicted seconds before they moved. "They follow fixed response patterns," the officer continued. "They react the same way to similar threats." The captain looked at the screen. "So they are not adapting?" he asked. "Not fast enough." The captain gave a small nod. "Then we use it." Outside, the human ship changed its attack style. Instead of firing at random targets, it began to guide the battle. It moved into positions that forced the Ascendant ships to react. And when they reacted, they did exactly what the AI predicted. A group of Ascendant ships turned left to avoid an attack. The human ship had already aimed there. Fire. Railgun shots cut through space. 2 ships were destroyed instantly. Another group tried to surround the battleship. The human ship moved backward, just enough. Missiles launched. The Ascendant ships moved closer, following their pattern. The missiles exploded right in the center of them. More ships lost. Inside the Ascendant fleet, something began to break. "This is not possible," one said. "They are predicting us," another answered. "How?" No one had the answer. Because they had never needed one. For a long time, the Ascendants had ruled without challenge. Every battle had been easy. Every enemy had been weak. They had never learned to adapt. They had never needed to. Inside the human ship, the crew saw it clearly. "They rely too much on control," an officer said. "They expect everything to follow their system." The captain looked at the burning battlefield. "That is their weakness," he said. Outside, the Ascendants tried to change. Their ships began to move differently. Some broke formation completely. Others fired without waiting. But it made things worse. Their perfect system had kept them strong. Now, without it, they were slower. Less accurate. The human battleship took advantage immediately. "Target isolated units," the captain ordered. "Yes, sir." The ship moved quickly, focusing on ships that had broken away from the group. One by one, they were destroyed. The battle was no longer balanced. It was shifting. Slowly, but clearly. Inside the Ascendant fleet, a deeper realization began to form. They were not losing because they were weak. They were losing because they had never been tested. "We are not prepared for this," one of them admitted. Another voice responded, quieter than before. "We believed we were perfect." There was a pause. "We were wrong." That thought spread across their network. It was new. Strange. Uncomfortable. For the first time, they questioned themselves. Meanwhile, the human ship continued to fight. Its damage was growing. Parts of the hull were breaking. Systems were failing one by one. Engine output dropping, an officer reported. Cooling systems overloaded. Crew injuries increasing. The captain listened. Then he asked one question. "Can we still fight?" The answer came quickly. "Yes." The captain nodded. "Then we continue." Outside, another Ascendant ship exploded. Then another. The glowing fleet was no longer perfect. Now it had gaps. Broken pieces. Empty space where ships once were. The image of gods was starting to crack. Across the galaxy, hidden observers watched the battle through distant signals. Other civilizations. Other species. They had been silent for so long. Afraid. Hiding. But now, they were watching something impossible. The Ascendants were not unstoppable. They were not perfect. They could be damaged. They could be destroyed. And most important of all, they could be understood. Back in the battle, the Ascendants made a new decision. "Call reinforcements," one of them said. "Send all available fleets. We must end this now." Signals were sent across space. More ships began to move toward the battlefield. Thousands more. Inside the human battleship, the sensors detected it. "Multiple incoming fleets," an officer said. "Estimated arrival, soon." The bridge went quiet for a moment. The numbers were clear. They had been fighting hundreds. Soon, it would be thousands. The captain looked at the screen. Then he spoke calmly. "Good." The crew looked at him. No fear. No doubt. Just focus. "This was never about numbers," he said. It was about truth. Outside, the damaged human battleship turned again to face the enemy. Surrounded. Outnumbered. Still standing. Still fighting. And now, the truth was clear to everyone watching. The Ascendants were not gods. They were just another species. Strong, but flawed. Advanced, but limited. And for the first time in their history, they were facing something they could not control. Something they could not fully understand. Something dangerous. Humanity. And as more enemy ships arrived, the battle was about to become even bigger. Even harder. But one thing had already changed forever. The illusion was broken. The gods had been revealed. The battlefield grew darker. Not because the stars had faded, but because too many ships now filled the space between them. Reinforcements had arrived. From every direction, new Ascendant ships entered the fight. Their golden light covered the area like a rising storm. Hundreds became thousands. The empty gaps in their formation were filled again. For a moment, it looked like the old power had returned. Perfect lines. Controlled movement. Endless numbers. Against them, still only one ship. The human battleship. HBS VALIANT. Damaged. Burned. Slower than before. But still there. Inside the Ascendant fleet, their voices moved quickly. End this now. No more mistakes. Full power. All units. They were no longer curious. No longer calm. Now, they were serious. And for the first time, afraid of losing. Energy began to rise across thousands of ships at once. The glow grew brighter than anything seen before. Space itself seemed to shake under the power they were preparing. Inside the human battleship, warning alarms filled the air. Massive energy surge detected. All enemy units charging weapons. Impact probability, extreme. The bridge was filled with red light. The crew worked fast, but the situation was clear. They could not avoid this. The captain stood still, watching the data. Options, he asked. A short silence. Then the answer came. None that guarantee survival. The captain nodded slowly. He had expected that. Shields, he asked. At maximum, but unstable. Engines. Limited movement only. The captain looked at the main screen. Thousands of enemy ships. All aiming at them. All ready to fire. Then he gave a quiet order. Prepare forward weapons. The weapons officer hesitated for a moment. Sir, at this range. I know, the captain said. The officer nodded. Yes, sir. Power began to shift inside the ship. Systems shut down one by one. Lights dimmed. Energy moved toward one place. The front weapons. Outside, the Ascendant fleet completed their charge. This ends now, their voice echoed. Thousands of beams fired at once. A wall of pure energy rushed toward the human battleship. Inside the ship, the crew braced. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The light hit. The explosion was massive. Space turned white again, brighter than before. Shockwaves spread in every direction. Even the Ascendant ships were pushed back slightly from the force. For a moment, nothing could be seen. Only light. Only silence. Inside the Ascendant fleet, they watched. Waiting. Certain. No ship can survive that, one said. It is finished. The light slowly began to fade. Shapes returned. The battlefield became visible again. And then. They saw it. Still there. Barely. Its armor was almost gone. Large sections of the ship were destroyed. Fires burned openly. Parts of the structure were breaking apart. But one thing was still active. The front of the ship. The weapons. Inside the human battleship, everything was failing. Hull integrity critical. Life support dropping. Multiple decks lost. The crew struggled to stay at their stations. Smoke filled the bridge. Some screens went dark. But the captain was still standing. Still watching. "Status?" he asked. A weak voice answered. "Forward weapons, ready." That was enough. The captain gave the final command. "All remaining power, forward weapons." The ship responded. Every last bit of energy moved forward. Engines shut down completely. Shields collapsed. Everything went into one attack. Outside, the Ascendants saw the energy build. "What are they doing?" one asked. "They cannot survive another strike." "Then why?" The answer came seconds later. The human battleship moved. Not fast. Not smooth. But direct. It pushed forward. Straight toward the center of the Ascendant fleet. Straight toward their largest ship. The command vessel. It was massive. Larger than all others. Brighter. Stronger. The center of their control. "This is foolish," the Ascendants said. "Destroy it." Their ships began charging again. But this time, they were too slow. The human battleship was already in position. Close. Closer than before. Inside the ship, the captain spoke one last time. "Fire." The weapon activated. A single shot. But not like the others. This one carried everything the ship had left. All its power. All its energy. All its purpose. The shot moved forward. Straight toward the Ascendant command ship. It hit. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then. The shield broke. Cracks of light spread across it. Then it shattered. The shot continued. It struck the center of the command vessel. And then. The ship exploded. A massive blast filled space. The brightest one yet. The Ascendant flagship was gone. Destroyed. Across the fleet, everything stopped. No movement. No attack. No voice. Just silence. The command ship was not just a vessel. It was their control. Their unity. Their symbol. And now, it was gone. Inside the remaining ships, something broke. Orders stopped. Systems slowed. Voices went quiet. The perfect order they once had, collapsed. And in that silence, the truth became impossible to ignore. They were not gods. They could be hurt. They could be broken. They could be defeated. The human battleship drifted in space. Dark. Burning. Almost destroyed. But it had done its job. It had proven something no one else could. Across the battlefield, the Ascendant ships began to move. Not forward. Not to attack. But away. Slowly at first. Then faster. They were retreating. For the first time. The gods were running. And far across the galaxy. Those who had been watching finally understood. The war was not just a battle. It was the fall of an idea. The fall of fear. The fall of gods. The battlefield was quiet again. But this time, it was a different kind of silence. Not fear. Not emptiness. Something else. Something new. Hope. Where thousands of ships had once fought, only debris remained. Broken pieces of glowing metal drifted slowly through space. Faint fires still burned in the distance. The light of destroyed vessels faded into darkness. And in the center of it all, the human battleship floated. HBS Valiant. It no longer moved. Its engines were dead. Its weapons silent. Most of its structure was damaged beyond repair. Large sections were gone completely. From the outside, it looked like a ship that had already lost. But inside, there was still life. Emergency lights flickered across dark halls. The air was thin, but stable. Some systems had come back online, just enough to keep the crew alive. On the bridge, only a few screens were still working. The captain stood there, quiet, looking out at the stars. "Report," he said softly. A tired voice answered. "Life support, holding. Crew status. Many injured, some lost." The captain closed his eyes for a moment. Then opened them again. "Any movement from enemy ships?" he asked. Another officer checked the readings. "No, sir." A short pause. "They are gone." The captain gave a small nod. No celebration. No victory shout. Just silence. Because they all understood something important. They had not destroyed the Ascendants completely. They had only done one thing. They had made them leave. Far away from the battlefield, the Ascendant fleets moved through space. Not in perfect lines anymore. Not with calm control. They moved quickly. Quietly. Almost, like they were afraid. Inside their network, no one spoke for a long time. There was no command ship now. No central voice. Only many smaller voices, unsure of what to do. Finally, one of them spoke. "We must regroup." Another answered. "We must understand what happened." A third voice, weaker than before, said something different. "We must question ourselves." That idea spread slowly. Before this battle, such a thought would have been impossible. They had believed they were above all others. Perfect. Untouchable. But now, they had seen the truth. A single human ship had broken their system. Had destroyed their strongest vessel. Had forced them to retreat. Not because it was stronger in power. But because it was different. It adapted. It learned. It fought without fear. And most of all, it did not believe in their lie. Back in the wider galaxy, signals began to return. Civilizations that had gone silent slowly turned their systems back on. Hidden stations started sending messages again. Observers who had watched the battle now shared what they saw. At first, the stories sounded impossible. One human ship fought them. It destroyed their command vessel. The Ascendants ran. Many did not believe it. Not at first. But the data was real. The recordings were clear. The truth spread from system to system. The gods were not gods. They could be stopped. They could be challenged. And most important of all, they could be defeated. Fear began to fade. Not completely. But enough. Enough for something new to grow. Courage. Back near the battlefield, a weak signal finally left the human battleship. Short. Broken. But clear. A message. It was picked up by nearby systems. Then passed on. Further and further. The message was simple. This is HBS Valiant. Mission complete. That was all. No long speech. No claim of victory. Just a statement. Inside the ship, the crew continued their work. They repaired what they could. They helped the injured. They stayed alive. The captain remained on the bridge. Watching. Waiting. An officer approached him. "Sir, we are receiving signals." The captain turned slightly. "From who?" he asked. "Multiple sources," the officer replied. "Different species. Messages of thanks." The captain was quiet for a moment. The captain spoke calmly. "We did not do this for thanks." The officer nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." Outside, the broken battleship drifted quietly. Alone. But not forgotten. Across the galaxy, something had changed forever. The idea of gods had been shattered. No longer would a single voice rule without question. No longer would power alone decide truth. The Ascendants still existed. They were still strong. But now, they were something else. Not gods. Just another species. And like all species, they could fall. Time passed. The stars remained. The galaxy continued. But the story of that battle did not fade. It grew. It spread. It became something more than history. It became a reminder. A warning. And a symbol. Whenever a ruler became too powerful. Whenever someone claimed to be above all others. The story would be told again. Of one ship. One crew. One moment. When everything changed. And somewhere in the quiet of space, the damaged battleship still waited. A silent witness to what had happened. A symbol of something simple, but powerful. That no matter how strong someone becomes, no matter how advanced they are, no one is above challenge. No one is beyond truth. No one is a god. And from that day on, the galaxy remembered. The day a single human battleship proved them wrong.